and welcome once again to the Thank You for Playing podcast. I'm yours truly, the Mighty Toro, and I am accompanied by none other than Artist Supreme, BLJ34, and Editors Extraordinaire, Lambo. And we in this thing, you know what I'm saying? I want to get it right off my chest. We got a special announcement. We are on episode number 26. Half a year in this blender. You know, you got to crawl before you walk. And we definitely in the walking phase. It's been a very interesting half a year. And I'm glad we made this journey. With that being said, I'm going to turn it to my co-host, man. How y'all been? What y'all been up to?
Just been busy, man. Just working on some artwork. That's been the name of the game for me.
Sport business.
Yep. Just been trying to stay busy and get ready for this crazy holiday weekend we got coming up.
Yeah. So y'all see, you know how I'm doing. Well, half a year episode, you know, I had to spruce it up, thug it out. You know, I got the aviators on. I got tired of BLJ swagging on me. You know, I had to step my game up, you know. So I got the aviators on. Mm-hmm. I got the beanie on. You know, it's holiday season. It's cold outside. So
yeah,
you know, figured I'd
got real cold outside.
Yeah. Come here and do what I got to do. You know, but other than that, we've been maintaining. You know, thugging it out, talking video games, wondering, you know, what our next topic is going to be. Before I just charge into our topic, I'm going to go ahead and let BLJ, you know, do what he does best.
So, brief question for you young men.
What's up?
Brief question.
I just want you guys to tell me about, arcade experience you guys have had. That was a positive one. Whether it's more recent or maybe, something long time ago.
Back in the past, time machine. Boy. What's up, Lambo? You want to go first?
Man, I don't even know which one I would pick. I was in the arcade all the time as a kid, so
shit. I'm gonna narrow it down to two. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you get after it, you know what I'm saying?
You know, so the one that I always remember is the arcade was the first time I came across a little game called Power Stone, which is a fantastic 4-player arena fighting game. And man, that game, the characters were just all over the place. You had a mummy named, I think his name was Jack. You had a British, like World War II fighter pilot named, what was his name? Falcon. You had some guy that looked like a Samoan sailor with like a yellow bandana. What's his name? Gunrock, I think. And then you had, like, of course, the Bruce Lee clone. I can't remember. I think his name was Wang Tang or Wong Tong or something like that.
Yes, listen. Man.
Yeah, that game, it was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, Falcon was the one that glow and go Super Saiyan, right? Wasn't that him?
Was it him?
I'm pretty sure
it was either him or Wang Tang. No, I think it was Wang Tang.
Ken in Street Fighter V, he has a Falcon costume.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I got them mixed up, but I know who Falcon is because Ken had a costume representing.
Yeah, Falcon's the guy who has a red jumpsuit or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that game's a lot of fun. If you ever got a chance to pick up, what is it? I think it's on Dreamcast, and you got some extra controllers and some extra friends, you're going to have a good time.
That's a lot of extra. I have to go on the hunt to get all that stuff. But I'll take your word for it. You know what I'm saying? What else you got for us? Was that it? Was that just the pinnacle of your arcade experience?
Yeah, that's the one that always comes to mind when I think about the arcade is going and playing the games at Peter Piper Pizza, which some people may know. I think it's a chain. And they just had a massive arcade in the back. They probably easily had 200 cabinets, if not more.
All right. Well, shit, let me slide up in this biatch, you know? I'm going to take us back in the time machine, man. Probably when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I could barely see over the arcade, you know, the cabinet rest. I could barely see over that mug, you know. It's funny you mentioned Chuck E. Cheese because that's where one of my this is rank one. This is the rank one experience. Instead of me telling it last, I'm gonna go ahead and get rank one out the way.
Now, I did say Peter
Teenage
Piper
Mutant
Pizza,
Ninja Turtles.
but I understand why you were confused because it is very similar to Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh no! Oh, you said Peter Piper Pizza. My bad. Well, I
Yeah.
went to Chuck E. Cheese. I went and hung out with the rat. You know. So
Charles Edward
I was
Cheese.
probably yeah. This was definitely Toro the Younger before he was even known as Toro. You know. I was probably about 6 or 7 years old. Eating at Chuck E. Cheese.
Mhm.
They had that rat currency, you know, them Chuck E. Cheese tokens. You run around and it make that jingling sound in your pocket. You feel rich. You eating pizza and doing cartwheels and stuff, and you got all this change in your pocket.
Mhm.
You know how it be arcade machines everywhere, all in the restaurant, but it's just this one arcade machine that just glow gold and make that noise. That's what this arcade cabinet was. Goddamn Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. I still think whoever did the artwork on the side of that cabinet, I hope they got paid well. April had that perm, that wig on or whatever, holding that camera. Boy, and all the turtles was coming out the sewers and had this cool artwork. As I was saying, man, I probably could barely see over the cabinet, like barely, but I could see. And what made this moment so magical, my dudes, is it was 4 players. And I know I was the youngest player, and they let me pick Raphael. Boy, I was unstoppable. So it was probably me and like some middle schoolers, and one dude was like a high schooler. It just went up like me, like a middle schooler, a high schooler, and an adult. And we all teamed up playing Ninja Turtles. And we just having a good old time. You know, this was before all that toxicity was around, and I was the little dude. And we was kicking ass. And I ran out of coins. You know, and then I ran away.
That's the worst,
make
too.
pizza. Yeah, but
It's not like today where you got the little swiping card and you can just be like, hold on, I need to swipe again. And then all your money's on there.
That moment was golden, boy. Yeah. That moment was A1 on how far we got, you know. But I still remember moments like that. And that was like over 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Or almost 30 years ago, somewhere in there. I treasure moments like that. And they recently, shameless plug here, they recently released Cowabunga Collection. And I bought Cowabunga Collection because of that memory from, what did you say, Charles Edward Cheese?
I think that's his name, Charles Edward Cheese, I believe.
Yeah. My
or
second
something like it's Charles something
older.
Cheese.
Yeah. Shoot, I wouldn't even know.
It's
but
the E that I can't remember.
For that moment. But yeah. My second arcade moment, and once again, I say it every episode, excellent question, BLJ. The arcade scene in Mortal Kombat, man, I watched these dudes be treated as gods with they new fatalities that people didn't know, and they was on a win streak. Oh yeah, you definitely was hometown hero. You would think you was a celebrity. let you do a fatality. One of my fondest memories, it was this dude. He was really good. He was like leagues above everybody else. Arcade, and he had like probably like an 8-9 game win streak. And he was playing Reptile on Mortal Kombat 4. Lambo's favorite variation of Reptile. But Reptile on MK4, he would finish people off, and, you know, the announcer, finish him.
Yeah,
you know,
he's not the worst.
The face eat fatality. He do the face eat fatality, and, you know, they screaming, oh, and everybody cheers. Everybody cheers, and the guy's just sitting here like this. You know, just nodding his head like, and it kind of inspires me to play fighting games because I wanted to bathe in renown like that. Like I wanted to be the hometown hero. Like I wanted to be cool like you. Know? Yep, that was it. And not to toot my own horn, I'm not the best fighting game player out there, especially if you watched when I tangled with the SF6 beta. But there was a couple tournaments I won. And people cheered my name, and they knew me around town. So I got to feel what that felt like. And it's a wonderful feeling, you know, like I say, adrenaline rush and stuff like that. But I'm going to get off topic like I always do. So I'm going to toss the mic to BLJ. You know what I'm saying? I'm going back in the tournament heyday. But what you got, BLJ? A good arcade experience. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm going to take mine in a little bit of different direction. But I remember when I was way younger, 5, 6, 7 or whatever. And, my mom and I would go to a mall or whatever. And then, in the mall, they would have arcades. So, me being a little kid that just already liked video games, I was always like, hey, Mom, can I go over there and just go in there,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like at the time, I get it now, as an adult, but sometimes she'd be like, no, because she know once I go in there, I'm going to come back and be like, can I have some money to go spend on these games? And she already came there for
Mom, can I have $1, please?
Yeah, So sometimes she'll say yeah, or sometimes she'll say no, or whatever. But I just remember whenever I would go into the arcades, it was just the whole atmosphere really got me excited. Like all the flashing lights, the sounds of everybody like pressing all the buttons, smashing on the buttons. And depending on what year it was, you might hear finish him or sure you can, like all this stuff like going on at once. You know what I mean? So so just being in there, in that environment just got me it got me super juiced up in this hole. You know what I'm saying? But man, that right there, it really was like truly a joy for me. Just really just hearing all the sounds and seeing all the flashing lights as a kid. I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. You know what I mean? So that's definitely one of my memories, just the overall like arcade environment. But if I had to relate it back to a specific game, I remember, actually back then I had known of Tekken, but I didn't know at the time like Tekken 3 had came out. You know what I mean? And when Tekken 3 came out, I was like, excuse me, I need some water or something. No, but so at the time when Tekken 3 came out, I was 6 years old. So back then I wasn't really, like I am now, like keeping up with updates or, magazines and something like that. Like it was one of those things, if my friends had it, like, oh, they got this game. Or if I just saw it on TV, like, oh, this game is coming out, but I didn't know about like updates and stuff like that. So anyways, at the time, I remember I had played like Tekken 1 or Tekken 2 with my cousins or something like that. And I remember one time my mom and I went to somewhere like a mall or something. And, I was like, hey, Mom, can I go in here to the arcade, And I went in there and I saw Law beating up on Harang. And at the time I was like, oh, that's Law. But who's that other guy? You know what I mean? And and at the time, I'm just sitting here looking. It was like the opening arcade little movie or whatever. Like, it's like a montage of moves or whatever like that. And I remember just sitting there looking like amazed because at the time, it looked way different than Tekken 2 and Tekken 1. It just looked way better, more colorful, stuff like that. And at the time, I thought Law's outfit was pretty sick. We had the white jacket on with the blue pants, you know what I mean? I think on the back of the jacket, I think it's like a dragon on the back or something like that. So I just thought the whole thing was sick. I was like, man, this is so dope. And I remember running across the aisle, or not the aisle, like the big, the big walkway, like across from the arcade into the clothing store where my mom was at, like dodging people because, I'm a little kid. I'm trying to run, get back to mom's, to ask for this. Try to ask for this 50 cents because it took 2 quarters to play or something like that. And she gave me those quarters. I went back in there, ran right over there. We put it right in Tekken 3 and was playing out.
Mom, I need $1 right now.
Yeah, real.
Yeah. That's what's up. Fun fact. I'm going to say, fun fact, bro. The Law you described in there, that's Younger Law. That's his son. And I think his son was in there for one game, Forrest. That wasn't Marshall. Marshall stepped out and they introduced Forrest, That was that weird era in gaming where they wanted to replace everybody. Hence Jin replacing Kazuya and Julia replacing Michelle. And they had Forrest replace Marshall. But, they reverted on a lot of those changes. But that's just me being a geek, little moment.
And then I want to say,
Well, speaking of
What's up?
lore, here's a little bit of TYFP lore. Did y'all ever run through the arcade machines and like push the coin return button and see if you could get quarters out of it or tokens?
Oh, for
See if
sure.
maybe someone got stuck
I
in
think
there.
I
or
tried
left
that
some in
like
there.
for like probably like 2 minutes. It never worked for me, so I
Man,
didn't
that's
never
the thing.
try
Is
that
like it
stuff.
only worked like maybe 5% of the time, but
Yeah.
you know when it worked, it was a great surprise. It was
no,
the
for sure.
coolest
I
thing
tried
ever
that
when it
a couple-
worked. Mhm.
Yeah, I say my second moment is it's kind of the same scenario, but it's a different game. It was the first time I saw. I'm not even sure which one it was. It wasn't Marvel versus Capcom 2. I think it was Street Fighter versus X-Men. I think that's what it was.
Oh, okay, yeah, that game
But
was a
anyway,
banger.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know that was a thing. I just remember going into the arcade and same thing. It was an opening screen playing, and I saw Chun-Li beating up on Wolverine. I was like, what? Nigga Bill lost his mind. I was like, what game is this? Like, I didn't know this exists, you know? Because at the time, you know, this is what I'm 5, 6 years old. I already know about Street Fighter and
Yeah.
X-Men. I knew about X-Men because of the cartoons. I knew about Street
Yeah,
Fighter
yeah.
because I was already playing Street Fighter 2 back then. So I knew both of the characters. But to see, and I remember the move I saw. I forget the name of Chun-Li's move, but it's like the diagonal kick she does. I forget what it's called. Do you guys know what the move is?
Tensho something.
Yeah, but
But yeah, I know what you're
it's
talking
like
about. Start
an
with a
upward.
T. I'm not even going to attempt to say that before I get tomatoes through with me by Chun-Li stands.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway,
Yeah.
it's like her
I know what you're
upwards
talking about,
kick where
though.
she kick you
How
like
dare you? It's Makan Kosapo.
yeah, she kick you like 5 or 6 times in the air, but it's like a diagonal kick or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, I saw her doing that to Wolverine. I was like, what? Like, boy, I mean, the soul almost jumped out your boy pants when I saw that, boy. Because at the time, I didn't.
Mom, I
Hey,
need
did
another
you
dollar.
Yeah, because at the time, like, it just didn't make
Yeah.
sense. I was like, what? And then as I kept watching, then I seen Spider-Man and Ryu and Hulk, and I was like, what am I looking at? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely remember that time when I saw that and just remember being super excited.
I'm trying to see if we talking about the same game. At the end of all that cool cutscene awesomeness, did Cyclops shake Ryu's hand?
Um,
Or you
I
don't
think it
remember
was
it?
Street Fighter versus X.
You thinking of Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter? Because X-Men versus Street Fighter, at the end of all that
Uh-huh.
awesomeness, Ryu
So,
and
yeah.
Cyclops shake hands, and that's what had me like, oh.
I mean,
so
Mhm.
I relate, but I think you talking about a
It
different
could have
game.
been that. I mean, this is almost 30 years ago. I don't remember, but all I remember is Street Fighter and X-Men fighting each other. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I would say those are my two
That's
like
what's up there.
hype arcade moments. You know, I really don't got that many as an adult because you know these days they're kind of few and far between. But
What arcade?
exactly,
Yeah.
there's actually one I read recently. I'll look it up and remind you guys later. But it's like one in Illinois. I guess it's like this like the big arcade. It's called like Ghost Arcade.
Oh,
something like that.
it's like Ghost
Yeah.
Horse, isn't it?
It's something with a ghost in it, but it's an arcade in Chicago somewhere. But I guess it's like
Yeah.
really big.
I,
It's got a
I
lot
think
of
it's
games.
Ghost Horse, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I definitely like. I don't know when, but like, I definitely want to go and check that out one day. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's definitely one on my list to go to.
Hmm. But anyways, that's it for my arcade stories, man. So, what's the main topic
That
like
was a
today?
cool little. So that was a cool little question of the week. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and give
I
you
appreciate
props right on. But yeah, I'm gonna let Lambo roll his topic again.
All right. Well, like Toro said,
Right.
it's episode 26, and being, you know, a little bit of a milestone, we thought we'd do something a little special. And so, as you can see right here, we've got this fancy little tier list that we made up. We thought this would be fun to kind of just go through some of the home video game consoles that we have owned and played with over the years, and you know, kind of give them a rank based on how we liked them, the game library, the audience and cultural reception and impact, and just kind of, you know, put them where we think they should go based on that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Are you guys
That's the gist of it.
yeah, you guys ready for this? Oh,
We ready to go. Well, let me go ahead and throw this disclaimer out here. I'm gonna look at the camera too. These are our opinions, right? So
yes.
I don't want y'all, contorting yourself into a pretzel if I put PlayStation 5 in D tier. Not that I would do such a thing. I don't even think PS5 is on there, but you know what I mean. If I put your beloved Link Station, Legend of Zelda, Super NES on the D tier, I don't want you banging your head against the wall or, you know what I mean.
The
Throwing
Sega
tomatoes.
64 and the Legend of Nathan Drake.
Yeah, solely our opinion, it's just a fun tier list.
Yep.
So pull up your virtual chair and come along for the ride. And, if I'm going to say this early, if we bound to have disagreements, right? Let us know what you think in the comments. I figured I'd tell you out that early,
Yep.
I'd love to see where you guys rank these systems. But with that being said, and without further ado, I'm going to let Lambo.
Well, before the further ado, that brings up 2 points. One, we specifically left off the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. We felt that generation hasn't really been around long enough for us to adequately judge them and rank them based on the parameters and criteria that we decided upon. So we specifically left them out. And then anything before
got diapers on,
yeah, pretty much. And anything before the console generation 3, we really don't have a lot of experience with. Like, I've played a little bit of Atari. I think BLJ said he might have played a little bit of Atari, but we just don't have enough experience with them or knowledge to really rank them properly. So we left those out as well.
Gotcha.
Cool.
And then when we're done with this episode, I believe this tier list is going to be live for you guys to go and rank these the way you want to. And, maybe play around and let your friends get in on the discussion with you.
Nothing wrong with that. That's legit.
Let's do it.
Y'all ready?
I'm with it. Game. What's up?
So we're going to go. I'm just going to randomly pick. And I'm not going to do these in any particular order because otherwise it'd be kind of boring. So First up, where are we putting the Nintendo Switch?
So I'm going to say I'm completely biased. I'm not a Super Nintendo fanboy, but I'm
we're talking about the Switch,
maniac.
not the Super Nintendo.
Nah, I'm just saying Nintendo in general. I'm just not crazy about Nintendo systems. That's what I'm saying. I'm a Smash maniac. I'm a Smash head. I bought a Switch solely for Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, and that mug did not let me down. They've been going through some tournament drama lately. No disrespect to them. That ain't got shit to do with me. But fun factor and enjoyment, I would rate the Switch. Well, we going by the hardware, not the game.
Well, no, the games library does take account.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't want to. I can't give it a super high grade because them Joy-Cons is still giving people headaches to this day.
Yeah,
Drift.
you're saying I see what you're saying. You can't rank the Switch
you
based on Smash Bros.
Fix. Yeah, not solely based on Smash Bros.
Yeah.
It has some hardware issues that been needing attention. They haven't really fixed them. Mm-hmm. But I also want to balance that out by saying it's kind of revolutionary in regards that any game on the Switch you can pick up and play.
Yeah.
So if you very careful with your Joy-Con controllers, then it won't mess up. But a lot of those games require you to do sudden rough movements and it'll make the Joy-Cons drift. So if I had to put the Switch somewhere, I would put it in B.
B tier?
That's just my personal pick.
Okay.
I would put it in B. Some shout out games that I enjoyed on there. I talked about Jen and Laura and Xenoblade Chronicles Golden Torn. I enjoyed that one. Smash Ultimate, I probably got like 1,300 hours in that. Monster Hunter Stories 2. What else did I play? I played quite a bit of things in there. It wasn't a Switch
Monster Hunter Rise?
exclusive.
Is that what it was you played?
Nah, I played Monster Hunter Stories too.
Is that the one
That's
with
the
the
one I
electric
played.
bird?
I think so.
Okay.
But it was more like that's the one I told you that
Yeah.
to me it's better than Pokemon because it's the trainer and the monster fighting together.
Big words.
I really enjoyed that.
Watch out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It'll make somebody angry.
Mario Tennis, they'll be all right. Mario Tennis. Yeah. And it was another one that I played. Oh, the Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, and the Hyrule Warriors prequel, A Blade of Calamity. All those contributed to good times on the Switch. So I'll give it a solid B. That's my take on it.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not a bad place. What about you, BLJ? Where would you put the Switch?
So I'm kind of with Toro. I won't say I'm not a fan of the Nintendo consoles. I just haven't had many of them growing up. I will say that was my first one as a kid, like a NES, my first console. But as time has progressed, I'm a PlayStation guy. But I will say with the Switch, I feel like these days, like more modern times, with the discussions we've had with people, you know, they so opinionated about stuff and they like this and they don't like that and they want you to change stuff up like that. I feel like these days it's kind of hard to come out with a game that's considered like top tier that the masses like, you know what I'm saying? And you can find very few people that like it. Where I'm going with this is Breath of the Wild, right? Isn't that on the Switch?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a game. That's a game that I've heard in high regard for. It came out a couple years ago. I don't know how many years ago. How many? Like 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
The Switch?
Oh man, I could. No, you talking about Breath of the Wild? I can't even tell you when Breath of the Wild touched down.
I think it was
like
4 years ago now, if I remember correctly.
Like anyways,
yeah, I think that's right.
I feel like, you know, that's even though it's been a few years ago, it's still kind of current, you know. And I feel like that's a game that has definitely left a mark on the more modern gaming. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like Nintendo has always done that, you know, with certain games. Anyways, I feel like with that being a part of the Switch, you know, that definitely for me bumps it up. You know, I say I give it a B like Toro because I don't have the system at all, so I don't want to be like it's this and that, and I've never really played it. You know. I want to say the other times that I have played it, it was playing Smash Bros. And it wasn't even like competitively. It was an ex of mine. Her kid had Smash Bros. So me and her kid would play Smash Bros. And her kid was like really young. So she didn't know like Ryu and Ken. And I'm like, oh, look, it's Ryu and Ken. And she's like, Sonic and Pikachu, because that's what she knows. You know what I mean?
That's what she knows.
So I'm sitting there like, no, like, yeah, I'm like, no, these are the cool characters right here. She's like, no. But that's just a generation thing. Like, I grew up with these people. She's growing up with Sonic and too, you know what I mean? But anyways.
Yep.
Speaking of which, freeze frame quick. A little tidbit of gaming news or more anime news. I ain't finna last on long. We put it in my head. Ash Ketchum apparently finished his journey, and next year, a whole new protagonist is coming in.
They're finally,
the homie Ash is gonna be gone.
Finally retiring the 20-year-old, 10-year-old.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he was like 10 years old for like 20 years, but you know he finally finna get wrote out the story. You know, so shout out to the homie Ash Ketchum and all the trials and tribulations he went through.
You know,
my bad.
And I want to say keep that note because I want to ask your opinions on that, like towards the end, because I was wondering about that too. Like that's the main guy, and then they're like taking him out. But anyways, back on what I was saying. Even with Smash Bros, that's a huge game as well. Like that's a game that's got a huge roster of characters from different genres of gaming and different consoles, like different brands that would never really match together. Like you got Kazuya and what's his name? Terry Bogard, Ryu and Ken, all in one game.
Simon.
Then you got Snake, you got Sonic, like all these characters in one game.
Samus.
Like that's pretty huge to me. Yeah. And I want to say like just these two games alone for me. What is it? What's the one I said? Breath of the Wild and Smash Bros. Like I would put that in the A tier just because I know those two games are like super popular. I like them. You always hear nothing but good about them. Well, most of the time, not all the time. So if I had to rank them, I'll put them in the A. You know what I'm saying? Toro put them in the B. They can stay at a B. You know what I mean? Because he actually has a Switch.
So,
you know what I mean?
So you'd put the Switch in the A tier?
I would say A, but I guess you give the say.
I'm kind of right in the middle. Like I started out thinking maybe it was a high B tier, and then I started to think about the games catalog and just how many good games there actually are. I mean, you guys brought up Smash, Legend of Zelda, Mario Tennis, but there's also like Mario Golf Party, Mario Kart, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like there's a bunch of good games on it, and then the revolutionary feature of being able to either play on your TV or pick it up and take it with you.
Yeah.
Which in my experience is a revolutionary concept, but do you know how many times I've actually taken it off the TV and carried it with me to play? Maybe 3 times. And I've had one since like I've had this Switch since 2019, I think, 2018. Whenever Pokemon Sword and Shield came out is when I bought my Switch.
I guess the question is, those 3 times that you took it off, did it work properly? Did you have fun with it? Was it not fun?
Yeah, I never had any issues with it.
Yeah.
It worked just fine. It did exactly what I wanted it to do.
You say Sword and Shield made you buy a Switch? You sure you didn't have it before then? Sword and Shield just came out not too long ago, right?
No, you're talking about Scarlet and Violet. I'm talking about the generation of Pokemon games
but
before.
I don't remember Sword and Shield coming out in 2019. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, they've been out for a while. 3 or 4 years now.
Okay. Cool. All right.
I don't know. Maybe I got my timeline wrong. I could be way wrong, but I'm pretty sure that
Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee came out first.
Yeah,
that was around the 2019, 2020.
2017, I think.
You
Something
sure?
like that.
Now you digging way far back.
I don't know. Fact check me. You got the question gun loaded. Go answer hunting.
Let me go see. Let me see something.
But yeah, like I was saying, I mean,
let's go.
It is revolutionary to be able to take it with you. But I just don't use that feature, and for that reason, I don't think it's that. I don't think that feature bumps it up that much for me to say that. But I am willing to go, because BLJ was bringing up some games that really made me think that it should go in a low A tier. So I think that's kind of where I'm resting right now, is the bottom of the A tier.
November 15th, 2019. So yeah, you said 2019. I guess that's when you got that bad boy.
Which one was that? Sword and
Sword
Shield?
and
So if that's 1 B and 2 A's, you just put in what, A?
Yep, that's A.
Y'all do y'all.
I mean, I don't think that's bad. That seems
It barely made A, but it's A.
That seems pretty fitting.
Well, now that we spent 15 minutes talking about the Nintendo Switch, how do you guys feel about the Xbox 360?
This is going to be short and sweet. If you throw tomatoes at me, I'm going to dodge out the way. I'm not part of the system gang turf wars, but Xbox never really drew me in past the original Xbox. But I will say the 360 had one shining gem that I just loved. And I still love that series to this day. I have a great friend. He is infamous, notorious for bringing systems over, and I don't ask him to. He did it recently with the Street Fighter 6 beta. I'm shout out to my boy Majunia Courtney, but he brought by his Xbox 360 and pretty much forced me to play Gears of War 3 just to try it out. And I tried out Gears of War 3, and man, I fell in love with that game. This is back when I was kind of in the Stone Age, prehistoric age, so I didn't have internet, so I just played through the main campaign. And I played Horde mode all the time. Man, Horde mode was so fun. But that's about as far as I went on the 360. I was part of the Halo gang just to be an extra body to get destroyed. So that wasn't a memorable experience for me. But Gears is a fond memory I have of the 360. I'm going to let you be the lore master in regards to Xbox 360. But in my experience of 360, I'm gonna go like I did the Switch, because not because of the hardware, but I don't have much knowledge on it. So my impression of the 360, and let's not talk about the red ring of death. You know, I wasn't trying to throw that. Huh? Oh, you going to? See, I just thought about that. So that drag it down a bit. A lot of people was disgruntled with that. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet, but I'm gonna put that bad boy in B tier for me.
B tier.
Hardware.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in B because I don't know enough about it, you know. But the graphics did look good. The controller felt good, but that red ring hurt a lot of its reputation. So I'll give it a B. It didn't flunk, but that mug was hurt. Matter of fact, I'll take that. I'll put it in C because C overwrote Gears. You know, I'll put it as a C. That's where I'll place it. Yeah, that's my verdict.
Interesting.
See, I gotta put it in D tier.
Whoa!
Simply because of the mechanical issues that it had with the Red Ring of Death, with over 1/3 of units failing and having to be sent in to be fixed, and Microsoft having to do repairs for free on a ton of units. Like it was a system that was decently designed, but rushed to market to try to beat Sony. And then they ended up having all these issues. And then you had to have an adapter to be able to play online, because didn't you have to plug in the little thing on the side? Or no, that's the external hard drive I'm thinking about, ain't it?
I don't know. You the Xbox dude, not me.
Nah, I ain't. No, I only bought a 360 to play one game, just like a bunch of people. But that one game was Black Ops 2, and I only bought the 360 because that's what all my friends were playing Black Ops 2 on. And then once we stopped playing Black Ops 2, I sold it. But I don't care for the controller. I've never liked the Xbox controller because I don't like the stick layout. And the games library wasn't really that impressive for me. Like Gears was all right, but I wasn't as into it as you were. Like their exclusives weren't really anything to write home about. But I would have put it in a C tier if it hadn't been for all the mechanical issues and the Red Ring of Death and all the other problems that the 360 had. And then they sold it as a 4 gigabyte model with no hard drive, when a lot of games at the time were already pushing more than 4 gigabytes. And yeah,
man,
you heard it here first.
Man,
there was a bunch of issues with that system.
You tell me a lot. I didn't even know
that mug got put all the way.
What you put that, Tori? You put it at a C?
You heard it here first. I gave it a C, but Lambo reached in the bag and exposed there. So
you know what? I'll take it back. I'll put it in C because there is one on this list that I think is more deserving of a D than the 360. I'll give it a C for crap.
Yeah, for me, right? So I never had an Xbox system, but I will say I'm along the lines with Lambo. I never was a fan of the controller layout. For me, it just didn't make sense. It was kind of like, I feel like you guys are trying to be different just to be different. You know what I mean? Like for the longest, most controllers, they have a D-pad on the left, buttons on the right. And then as time progressed, they had sticks at the bottom. Then Xbox came out with the stick at the top left, the D-pad at the bottom left, and then the stick at the bottom right. I don't know. It was weird. And I didn't like how I felt in my hands.
And let's not talk about how shitty that D-pad is on that controller either.
Yeah, it's
so
bad.
If you're trying to play fighting games on it.
Yeah, it's bad because it's one piece. Like, it's not an individual, like, directions. It's one whole piece. So it's like, I don't know, it just sucked. It was really bad design.
Microsoft sponsor me. This mug is pretty plain to me.
But that's an Xbox One controller, though.
Yeah,
those aren't as bad.
It's the same. He said D-pad top left.
Yeah, but mechanically, it's not as bad.
Yeah,
and it's more comfortable to hold.
Plug. Yeah, I don't know. I never really been a fan of like the Xbox like console.
The D-pad is still shit on that controller, though.
But yeah, if I had to give it a rating, it'd probably be the same too. So wherever you guys put it at, that goes double for me. I'm not really.
C,
Yeah.
a solid C.
So,
That's what's up. Cool.
that's a solid C.
All right, cool.
All right.
Oh,
Well, let's go to one that
hey,
BLJ has had.
wait. Before we go, one positive thing I will say about it though, and I heard about this a lot back when I was playing Street Fighter a lot. They said that the PlayStation, because PlayStation 3 and Xbox, they were rivaling systems back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
They said that the PlayStation 3 netcode wasn't good, but the Xbox was really good, right? I think that's how it went. Am I wrong in that?
Pretty much. The 360, the Microsoft network at the time did have the better functioning netcode.
Yeah.
Largely, I think that's because they were actually charging subscription prices at the time.
Yeah.
And PlayStation Network was still free. So it was kind of a trade-off. Like, yeah, it was free to play, but because they didn't have as much money to put into the servers, it wasn't as smooth of an online experience.
Yeah.
Whereas the 360, they did have a smoother experience because of the subscriptions, I think.
Yeah, so I didn't bring that up to like try to boost it up, but I will say that was one thing I've always heard, that their netcode was better than PlayStation, because I would play Street Fighter on PlayStation 3 and they'd be like, you play it on there? It's super laggy. You need to play it on the Xbox.
And that is a positive thing about it, but that's not really the 360's doing. That's just the Microsoft network at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even if the 360 had come out and had been like the best system ever, the network still would have been the same.
Right. Well, I mean, that was my 2 cents on the netcode, but that was one positive thing about it.
Fair enough. Okay. It is worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so one that I know you did have, BLJ. How do you feel about the Nintendo Entertainment System?
Well, I will say the first NES, right? That was my first console. And I remember having Mario 2. I remember having Super Mario 3, Ninja Gaiden, and the game that really got me into fighting games, Double Dragon 2. That's what I had on there. I feel like as a whole, that system made a lot of noise and had a lot of things going for it back then that, I mean, I guess they're outdated today, but like when people think of like classic systems, I feel like that's held in high regard, the first NES, you know what I mean? Especially with games like Super Mario 3, like that's still popular to this day. Actually, the new Mario 3, the new Mario movie that's coming out, if you look at the trailer, some of the references they have in it are from the old NES Mario games 30 years ago. You know what I mean? So I feel like culturally, the NES will always have a high tier spot just because of a lot of the games, a lot of the characters they introduced to people, and, you know, just a lot of fun moments that people have had with these games over the years. And I know some people to this day, they still play these games on emulators. As a matter of fact, I think they made maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, they made like the NES Mini or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could hook it up to the TV and they had games on it already. So there's still a little market for it. People, I don't know how well it sold, but I know people bought it. You know what I mean?
Very well.
Yeah.
So if I had to put it in a rank, like on a tier, I would say NES is an S.
I think we're probably all in agreement that it's an S tier.
Oh, yeah. I don't want this to turn into no 3-hour podcast, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make it short and sweet why this mug is S tier. You had said you feel like some of the NES's features is outdated. Nah. Think about Duck Hunt. You had a light gun that you pointed at your TV and it was ducks flying on the screen and you shooting at the screen and you got to shoot the ducks from way back then. That was some crazy futuristic shit. Just hands down. Like Duck Hunt, that was a legendary title. Then you got Super Mario, you know, World 1-1. Dun, 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 dun. That's still in people's head to this day. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Another great title. 1, 2, and 3. 2 was a little different, but I like that one too.
But still fantastic.
Oh yeah, they had the karate game that you could play. What was that game?
Karate Kid?
Is it Excite Bike?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Excite Bike.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could edit
So
your own
I'ma
tracks on Excite Bike too.
Yeah, all that stuff, man. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Like I'm not gonna describe this one, but it's an automatic S, man. Nintendo owes their success right now. The Switch is alive thanks to the sacrifice that its great ancestor, the NES, made. Like, and Mario, you know, it's just he started off on the NES. So easy S tier for me.
Yep.
Like I said, I ain't gonna talk about it long, but easy S tier for me.
Same for me. For me, it's not only what you guys talked about with it being a cultural icon and the games library, but the Nintendo was the system that I played games with my mom all the time. Like we played Mario 2 nonstop. We played Contra all the time. Top Gun. Like all these games that I played with my mom, and that's the last time me and her really like sat down and played games together. So just me as a little kid actually hanging out with my mom playing video games, like that has a big personal spot for me. So it's definitely an S tier.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we're gonna leave it be, man. We knew that already. So what you got for us next?
I mean, we could just go straight to another easy S tier.
Let's get it.
All right. So PlayStation 1.
Boy, if we had a double S, that mark would be up there, man. Let me go first. Let me get my short and sweet out the way.
BLJ's about to say no.
Oh man,
no, I totally agree.
I tell you what.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shoot, revolutionary graphics, disc-based format, something you ain't never seen before. Do I have to say Final Fantasy VII? 3 discs, huge game, fantastic game. Crash Bandicoot. We've talked about this in other episodes.
Crash Bandicoot, Spyro.
Halloween episode talking about RE scaring the pants off you, boy. Just a whole bunch of the PlayStation 1's library alone is enough to propel it in S tier.
Dino Crisis.
The controls were great too. The memory cards, all that.
Yep.
Lara Croft,
Yep.
It wasn't her best form, but people loved Lara Croft back then. People still love her now.
We wouldn't have Uncharted today if it wasn't for Lara Croft.
Yeah, I agree. Spyro the Dragon, all those. But I'm gonna cut it short. Easy S tier for me. What y'all got?
What about you, Lambo?
I'm pretty much saying the same things you are. It was revolutionary. It was, I remember the first time finding out you could put a music disc in there and listen to music on your TV with your PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was revolutionary. I mean, you really said pretty much everything. There's not really much I can add to it. And later on in the PlayStation 1's life cycle, we got the analog controller for the first time, which revolutionized how we controlled video games with analog sticks.
Yep. DualShock.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in total.
Jet Moto, that was another fantastic PS1 game.
Which one was that one?
Which one?
Jet Moto, where you race around on like the hover bikes.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm in totally agreement. It's an S tier. I'm not gonna make this super long, but I just remember some of the key games that stuck out to me. The whole Twisted Metal series. I played all of those. Loved all of those. Back in the gap when before there was 2K, there was NBA Live, and I remember I used to play NBA Live on the PlayStation 1 all the time too. And the game is horrible today, but I remember when I was a kid, I thought this was the best thing ever. WCW Nitro, man, that game, like when I look at it now, is horrible.
With a
But back then, that was the mess to me. I loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the hottest things.
That was the one with that was the one with Diamond Dallas Page
Page,
what was his name? The dragon. What was the dragon guy's name?
Ultimo Dragon.
Yes, Ultimo Dragon.
Ultimo Dragon. They had Psychosis on there before the Big Show. This is when he was called the Giant, so he was on there. Man, that game was dope back then.
Was Sting on there?
Who? Yep, Sting was on there. I think Lex Luger was on there. Hulk Hogan was on there. Like, it had a big roster.
I played that game. Yep. Yeah, I think I want to say it was like 24, 25, maybe 26 fighters.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It was a lot though.
Yeah.
But I remember way back then.
It was a lot.
Back then, I was like, man, this is the dopest wrestling game ever. You know, even though now it's really dated. But anyways, I'm in agreement. S tier for sure.
All right, well, let's go from ones that we can agree are S tier to ones that we're not so sure about. What do we think about the Wii?
I was just thinking about what I was going to say about the Wii. It's funny that you picked it. I'm going to go ahead and go first. Short and sweet. Nintendo likes to try new things, you know, try to be revolutionaries. A lot of the times they hit the mark. A lot of the times they miss the mark. I'm going to say straight up, I'm going to give the Nintendo Wii a yellow light. It's kind of in the middle. To this day, I like the Wii jacket and the motion sense controller, but I don't like the fact that you have to go get batteries. Huge inconvenience. I also, the game library was not bad.
Hey, question for you. You said you had to go get batteries. Did they have like rechargeable controllers back then? Like that was the first of its kind, right?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I do not think they had rechargeable battery packs for the Wii remote. That's why it's not going to get a good score.
Batteries, like they didn't have other games that had rechargeable controllers, right? Like that was the only of its kind,
I think the PS3 was out at the same time as the Wii, right?
Oh, it was.
I think so.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
You know, you're right. Inconvenient.
Yeah. And they had, battery-wise, they had the store batteries that were supposed to be rechargeable, and they all sucked ass. So
they
really
only
had to
worked
go
for a
out
few
and
months.
buy. Yeah, to this day, I have a Nintendo Wii, and if I want to boot that thing up, I have to go get some batteries and put it in the Wii remote in order for me to control the menu. Terrible mistake. I only use the Wii remote for the menu because I have a classic controller, and that is a huge inconvenience. But the game library was pretty good. Smash Brothers Brawl, not the most famous entry, but again, being a Smash head, love that game. You know,
it was a solid entry.
A couple other honorable mentions. Tatsunoko versus Capcom. You know, BLJ brought that up.
I forgot that was on there.
That was a cool game. Another game they had, and I'm gonna keep it short. Sonic Mega Collection. That mug had Game Gear Sonic games. It had the Sega ones. It had Sonic R, Sonic Racing. Oh man, that mug was great. It had a strong library, but the hardware setbacks, I'm gonna have to sit it next to the Xbox 360, and I have to put it in C. I can't even put it in B because the hardware setbacks is really what, you know, let me down. A lot of those revolutionary, inventive games, you had to go buy more of those expensive ass Wiimotes, and you had to go buy more batteries. So here I am with 4 Wiimotes, and I have to keep batteries. So no, it has to go in C for me. I'm sorry, Nintendo fans, but I'm just being honest here. But it is a good system, a decent system. But I'm gonna sit it in C.
Okay.
About you, BLJ?
Me personally, I never had a Wii. The most I ever heard about a Wii was the party games. People really love the Wii bowling, the Mario Party games. You know what I mean? I've even played some of those and had a good time playing with friends and stuff like that. But I really don't know much about it. And the one reason I always wanted to play the Wii over the years, because you guys know I'm a big fighting game guy, but they had Tatsunoko on there. And I remember for the longest, I knew of Tatsunoko versus Capcom, but I didn't even know what system it was on. And then when I finally figured out it was on Wii, for years, I was like, man, I want to play TVC, but I don't got a Wii. You know what I mean? So I remember when I finally went to Texas to meet my guy Toro here, and he has it on the Wii. And that was my first time ever playing the game on the Wii, you know, back in 2021, or was it 2020? 2020, 2021, whatever year that was.
Such a magic moment. Yeah, I think it was 2020.
Yeah, and that was the only time I really ever wanted to play the Wii. So, and then now I actually downloaded the game on my phone on the emulator. So I play TVC, you know, with a PlayStation controller now. You know what I mean?
Freeze that right quick, Lambo. I ain't gonna put my boy BLJ on blast, but when I tell you he was like a kid in the candy store when he finally got to play that game, it didn't have no online. It just had story mode. He was in training mode for like 2 or 3 hours like this.
Oh man, hey,
So you know what I'm
that's what I
saying?
still do now. Like I still be in training mode, just
that was a
fixing it.
good moment. Yeah.
It's something about
Yeah,
the
that was a
feel of the
cool
game,
moment
man.
though.
It just feels really good, like doing combos in the game. But
Yeah,
anyways, that's my
sure.
my vote is
But as for the system itself,
like I said, I don't know much about it.
So you say you ain't gonna cast his vote?
Yeah, I
Mm.
don't know.
It's up to you and me.
Well,
It's
that
gonna
kind of
decide
sucks
the
because
fact-
we're slightly divided. I was going to say B tier because of the cultural impact. Like having the Wii mote and motion controls was a very revolutionary thing at the time. And I remember it got a lot of people who were not into games playing games. You know, particularly Wii Sports. There were a lot of
BLJ didn't
families
know
that
enough
spent
about
time
the hardware,
together.
but yeah. I was gonna say just jump it up to B because you know you're not really discussing his faults, but the faults affected me. But he had a good time with the Wii, and you
Yeah.
sit here talking about the cultural impact. Just bump it up to
Yeah.
B.
And what I was going to say was like, I don't have a ton of personal experience with the Wii. I own one. I've played a bunch of games on it, mainly like, what was it? It wasn't New Super Mario Brothers. It was one of the Mario games that was on there, Galaxy and something else.
Yeah.
So I don't have a ton of experience with it, but my personal experience with it wasn't that bad. But I also know a lot of people that would buy it for their grandparents to get their grandparents up and moving and actually doing something rather than just sitting there.
I did hear that quite a bit.
Watching TV all day.
That's a good point. I do remember hearing that.
I'll give you that. So you didn't have a ton of experience, but I did. But like I say, drop it in B. If it really might make grandparents get up and be fit, then what else? You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling it like it is. That mug escaped my wrath because y'all saved it because that mug was definitely inconvenient, but it had some good games. So what's next on the list?
Well, what about the Wii U? Let's go ahead and just move on to the second one.
But the same thing. That mug is amplified. They tried to correct it. I'm going to go on another rant. They tried to correct it. The library was not as strong.
I got to push back on that because the library was bigger because you could play Wii games on the Wii U.
True. I give you that, but they just talking about justifying paying for a new system. A lot of people was not really impressed with the Wii U.
Fair enough.
They felt like that it got released at like a weird time. Like
it did, yeah. That's one of the reasons I would knock it down.
Yeah. It wasn't very impressive. It was just like a meh system.
Yeah.
I'm not a hardcore system raider like that. And again, me being a Smash fanatic, Smash head, I literally had the Wii U for Smash Brothers Wii U.
Yeah.
It was some other titles on there. What else was on there? Which Zelda
New
game
Super
was
Mario
on there?
Brothers, which was probably the biggest title on there for me.
Yeah, I think Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, all of them were on there, you know? So I'm going to sit it back in C. I'm not going to do D, even though it's mainly the same, but it was a swing and a miss with the Wii, a swing and a miss with the Wii U. Like it's I'm not putting it in red, but it was more yellow. I bought it for one game because I'm a goofball. I had to get my hands on Smash Brothers. But, you know, the Wii U was more meh, you know.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty comfortable with a C tier for the Wii U because while I do like that it had backwards compatibility and you could play Wii games on the Wii U, I feel like they improved on the Wiimotes from the Wii to the Wii U. But at the end of the day, it was basically Wii 1.5. It was like the difference between a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 4 Pro. And they didn't really market it that well. So a lot of people thought that's what it was just an upgraded Wii. And so it didn't sell. Yeah. So the cultural impact, you know, especially compared to the Wii, was pretty much non-existent. And there were only minor improvements to the game library and the Wiimotes, and that was really it. So I'm pretty comfortable with a C tier there.
I'll leave it.
What about you, BLJ?
Whatever y'all say. I have no experience with the game.
None whatsoever, huh?
Nothing. I just knew it didn't sell well. A lot of people didn't buy it. That's all I know about it. I do, and I think we had this before, but I remember Tekken was on there, and you can dress up the characters as Mario and Luigi. That was cool, but
Tekken
Tag Tournament.
That's all I know
the
about
Nintendo version. Yeah.
Well, from one system that didn't sell that well to another, what are we thinking about the Dreamcast?
Okay. Well, this is where I swoop in with my cape, and I'm gonna save this bad boy. Same thing. I feel like that in regards of the revolutionary consoles, Dreamcast came out the gate first. I feel like that marketing and poor decision making doomed this console. Because when it came out the gate, you can't tell me what was the name of that NFL game? Was it 2K? NFL 2K? Am I
think
tripping?
2K did come out on that system.
Whatever that game was, where it showed people breathing and it was so cold you could see their breath, and they had their mouthpieces in their mouth.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was NFL 2K. That game, I don't even play sports games, and I was in there grinding that mug like I was a sports fanatic. Impressive. I'm for the toss at the Sonic Adventure, man. When they had that Sonic Adventure trailer and he was running from that orca on that bridge, wow. Like, boy, I have to have this system. Crazy Taxi, it goes on and on. But though I'm not trying to flip it over, with MK Gold, it came out later. But after those 4 initial titles, and Power Stone, like you mentioned, but after those 4 initial titles, nothing else really came out of note to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the Dreamcast had a super strong library.
Yeah,
but the controller
I definitely feel like it had a handful of like really great games, and then a whole bunch of pretty decent games, and then the rest were just kind of not really noteworthy.
Another thing, man, you can see it. You can see it on a little icon. I do not like their Xbox big boy controller. I do not like Dreamcast controller. I know y'all talking about the one I just had, but I do not like the Dreamcast controller. I'm not feeling it.
That's fair.
If I had to place it somewhere, oh yeah, go ahead. What's up?
I was gonna say with the controller, because it does look weird, but I remember thinking it was gonna be worse than it actually was, and not really having an issue with it too much. Like, I wasn't blown away by it. Don't get me wrong; it's not the most comfortable controller, but it's a lot better than I thought it would be going in.
Yeah. If I had to place it somewhere, man, this might be a shock to y'all. I'm still gonna put that biatch in C tier.
In C tier, what?
Yes, sir. I gotta put it in C.
Damn.
I had some good memories on it, but to me, you know how we put B? I said B. You know how we put we because you argued that it revolutionized. Dreamcast came out the gate. It's kind of like you in a race. Look, it came out like chopping, but it kind of just lost steam, and everything else caught up to it and could do what it could do.
Better.
And people give my boy Sonic the Hedgehog shit now because remember I told you the NES is star power propelled Mario every system he's on. They just love his games. The Dreamcast failed to do that for Sonic. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 was good, but the Dreamcast as a system did not launch Sonic in the superstardom where they could get another system. And the Dreamcast was the last system of Sega, big system, because it failed. So I have to put it in C tier, man. Just being honest with you. And I'm a Sega fanboy. I love Sonic, but I'm just being real with you, bro.
That's surprising. I thought we were going to be debating on whether it should be S or A, because I was going to put it in A tier.
Oh, man. I'm giving it a C, but you do you.
So I'm looking at it from a cultural point. Like, I know there's a ton of people that are still in love with the Dreamcast and the Dreamcast library. While the library didn't do much for me and you, I feel like the general public really enjoyed it.
It didn't do nothing for the system. That was the last one.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. That's why, maybe it's a little bit of personal bias, which is funny because I was going to say I feel like people are biased with the Dreamcast and rank it higher than it should because of the whole it's the last one, it died, the whole
being realistic.
An artist isn't appreciated until he's dead type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was thinking, but yeah, I mean, you're kind of convincing me otherwise. Like, I don't think it should go in C tier, but you may be right. It's not A tier. I'd be willing to concede down to B.
That's fine. At the end of the day, it's our personal opinions. We coincide. BLJ, you got any input?
I will say, I don't remember much about the game. I do remember at the time with the controller, they had the portable memory card that you could put in the controller, and you're supposed to be able to take it with you and play certain games or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Switch before the Switch. You know what I mean? But I don't know how that feature worked for people. I don't know if people really use it like that. I don't even know.
Not very well.
Yeah, I don't know if it was really successful. Because if I remember correctly, the little screen on that little memory card, it was like a green screen. It was like an old school, like green, like an old school, like Nokia phone type thing, you know? We used to put
Like an old
Snake on
Game
the
Boy.
phone, you know? It kind of looked like that, you know? So, and I'm talking about, this is back in
Yeah.
what, 2000, 99, 2000, 2001?
Yeah, Dreamcast was out around there.
So I don't know how well that worked, but I will say they were trying something new. Like I said, I don't know if it worked.
Yeah.
But as for the library of the game, I don't remember a lot about the library, but I will say I remember one of the more popular games ever, MVC2, started off on Dreamcast, right?
Dreamcast and PS1 from what I
yeah.
know.
It's
Yep.
PS2.
No, that was before PS2.
Nah,
PS4,
MVC2
yeah.
was on PS2.
Oh no, it was.
That might have been.
Oh yeah, you're
It
right.
was.
You're right. I thought he
That's
said
about when it first came out.
the original MVC. My bad.
Yeah, no, it was on there.
The first one came out. No, yeah, the first one came out on Dreamcast and PS1. That's what
Oh,
I
I
was
said
talking about, the first
MVC2. My bad.
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
That, and then I think Capcom versus SNK 2 or 1 came out on Dreamcast first.
Yeah.
Anyways, those games, Crazy Taxi, and then there was another racing game that was pretty dope, man. I can't remember what it was, but after every lap, the environmental, like the environments around the stage would change up. So, say if you're racing the first round, it's like sunny. Then the second lap, it'll be like super rainy and like tornadoes going around. And then like the third lap, it'll be like a whole like flood on the level. Like it just changed up the levels all.
Man, I ain't never heard of that, but it
Yeah, I
sounds
don't know
interesting.
what you're talking
Yeah, I
about.
forget what the game was because my next door neighbor had it, and I would go over his house and play it. And then on top of that, I think that's where DOA 2 came out on Dreamcast. I think so.
I played it on PS2, but maybe it did. Dead or Alive 2
I remember playing
hardcore.
DOA on there.
Like I said, I ain't finna get all that.
But anyways, I would
Yeah.
say to this day, like some people still give the library for that game like praise, like some of the more better games that that you would put on the top tier list come from the Dreamcast. Or,
Yeah. So what's your
anyways,
verdict? I can't wait to hear.
What'd you put it at? You put it at C? Lambo, you put it at A?
I put it at C. Lambo put it at B.
Oh, dang. I'm the deciding factor, huh? I'll put it at C. C.
See, it is.
C.
I feel
But
like
we're
that
gonna
I'm
put
the
it above the
stern parent.
360.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the stern parent. People listening to this like, damn, Toro mean, but I'm just being honest. Don't get me wrong. I love Sega, but nah, that one wasn't it.
Well, let's see how much you love Sega. What about the Genesis?
Short and sweet. That mug is right up there with the Nintendo. That mug is not an A. That mug
Really?
is S. Yes, and I will tell you why.
Tell us why.
My first system, this is a bit of personal bias. My first system was a Nintendo. Got a Nintendo. I was younger. I don't even think my brother may have just came out the womb because I was about 4. But the system I remember that was mine. I got it for Christmas. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and it came with a bundle. It came with Donald Duck's Quackshot. Both truly amazing games. Donald Duck got put in a platformer where he had an Indiana Jones hat and he had plunges, and he stopped various villains, from keeping up, from doing their mischief. Like you said, you got to play games with your mom. I think I talked about this before. I brought up Vapor Trail. Vapor Trail is a game on the Sega Genesis. And what did you say? It's called a bullet hell, but it's these 3 planes and you go through all these levels. And I played that with my dad. The Sega Genesis was also the birth of me and my brother's rivalry, where I used to kick my brother's ass, and my mom would be like, "Quit all that crying. If you can't win, and get off of it." And that's what turned him into the damn hellhound he is today, because it's very difficult to beat him in fighting games, because my mom told him to either get better or get off of it. I can't think of
Your mom
anywhere the
told him, "Get
Genesis
good,
failed.
scrub."
Yeah, basically, I can't think anywhere where the Genesis failed. That was back when Mario and Sonic were neck and neck.
Yep.
The library was huge. I'm really about to slam dunk it home, and I'm gonna quit talking. Sonic 3 and Knuckles. God damn it! Put that disc in there and flip that flap back, and put the third one in that biatch, and you got a super game. And Super Sonic was in that mug, and what a party it was!
Yeah.
Well, I'm done. That mug is S tier, baby.
I'm gonna
S tier all day for the Sega
add
Genesis
one
for me.
game to your list that
Okay.
was a lot of fun for me. Was Toe Jam and Earl.
Oh yeah, hell yeah!
Yep.
Toe
that
Jam
was
and
that
Earl.
was my
Yep.
game. But also the Genesis had the superior version of Mortal Kombat because it actually had blood instead of sweat.
Oh yeah,
What about you,
yeah.
BLJ?
Nintendo had the sweat.
So
Where you putting the
I'm,
Genesis?
I'm gonna put that in S tier as well. Make it short and sweet. But I will say one thing I didn't like about the Genesis at the time. I thought it was cool, but their controller design was horrendous.
Yep.
Whoa!
The controller
No.
was not great.
y'all high?
It wasn't that bad though.
No,
It wasn't as bad as an
Let
Xbox
me
controller.
Let me explain. Like,
I'm
it
listening.
looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
But as time has progressed, and like I look back at it, like the way it like formed in your hand, and it had like, if I remember correctly, it only had 3 buttons, right? Yeah, A, B, and C, right?
Yep. A, B, and
Actually,
C.
it has 6 buttons.
Yeah,
sir.
what?
It has 6 buttons. X, Y, Z, A, B,
No,
C.
in the,
Look at you. Smacked your face on your
Genesis
pop
controller?
filter.
the
Yeah.
Genesis
You
controller.
you probably had the beginning
Yeah,
controller.
I had the one that
Sega
came with the
Genesis has
system,
6
like the
buttons.
one that came out the box. It had 3 buttons on there.
Oh, well, get good,
No,
baby.
I remember buying a controller that had more buttons. I'm just talking about like the default controller that came out the box. Like,
Yeah,
it was
Yeah.
like,
I
it's
got you.
just the way it
3
felt in your
buttons.
hands, and then like
Yeah.
the diagonal layout of the A, B, and C. Like, I was like, like that just seemed awkward today. You know what I mean? But other than that, though, the system is definitely S tier for sure. One game I'm gonna add to that list of godlikeness was Vector Man.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
You actually mentioned that on a past
Vector Man
episode.
was nasty, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything else is good about it.
Whoa. Hold on. My bad, bro. And I'm gonna be quiet. For one, NBA Jam. That's a quick one. But
Oh yeah.
the Comic
yeah,
Zone.
that was
Remember,
Genesis.
I went on and on about Comic Zone, Streets of
Yeah.
Rage, Golden Axe, but I'm done. But nah, that mug is in that. You can't take that mug from that. But yeah, for sure.
Well, I think that's pretty solid S tier for the Genesis then. But you ain't done yet,
Yeah.
Toro. I'm gonna let you pick. What's the next system?
Oh man, I want to go ahead and get this out the way because I feel like I'm gonna be fighting y'all off, man. Go ahead and grab that Sega Saturn. Let's talk about it.
Sega Saturn.
Oh, that's all y'all.
We're just
because
gonna
I ain't
go
gonna
ahead
say
and drop
all.
that in D tier, right?
Okay. Oh no, sir.
Oh,
Not for me
F tier?
anyway. I'm going to give my beloved Sega Saturn. I'm gonna put it in B.
In B.
It wasn't Rev. I'm gonna put it in the middle. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm not trying to diss Apollo Creed. I love that character, but in terms of rivalry and fighting, Apollo Creed was the Sega Saturn, and Drago was the PS1. Destroyed, getting murdered.
Yeah.
My bias is Nights in the Dreams, Three Dirty Dwarves, Virtual Fighter 2, Daytona USA. All those are my beloved games. I love those games. But in terms of popularity and what else? Just downright just functionality, the PlayStation 1 had the Sega Saturn beat. So I have to give it a B. I'm giving it a B from my personal experience. I love the Sega Saturn. Fun fact, I still have one. You know, I love those games.
Surprised
but
you didn't just
I
reach
have
over
to
and
put
grab
in
it.
B. Oh man, no, not this time. It's actually at my dad's. But there
Playing
are
Vapor
more
Trail
games
3,
I
huh?
could name off on the Sega Saturn. Another one was like a mech fighter called Virtua On. Man,
Oh, that was a
and
good
there's
game, though.
one more I'm gonna mention. Yeah, it's one more I'm gonna mention. It had a different name on Sega Saturn, but they also have it on PS1. They have the international version. It's called Outlaws of the Lost Dynasty, and to this day, that game has some of the coolest character designs that I've ever seen. Before I toss it to Lambo, hopefully I can put up like 2 or 3 screens of the characters. I'm not going to name them off because I'm going to put them at random. But yeah, I'll put them here. But there are a couple of characters that I want to show off from Outlaws of the Lost Dynasty / Dark Legend. But
See
yeah,
what I
that's
get
my
for Christmas? Extra work.
yeah. Oh man, that's my take on it. What you got, Lambo? I'm gonna give it a B.
You
You
know,
ever thinking about it?
yeah. Okay, so the only personal experience I have with the Saturn is Ridge Racer. That's it.
Oh man, okay.
And this is a different uncle. My uncle had a Saturn and went over to his house a few times and played Ridge Racer. I was really into it, don't get me wrong. I thought it was great. I wanted to play Ridge Racer. But like I just don't have any
Gotcha.
personal experience with any other games, and I haven't really heard anybody in the general population talk about the Saturn and like it being any good. It's just seemed kind of like the Jaguar, just a system that was released and not really anyone cared about.
Yeah.
So that's why I was gonna put it in D tier, because I feel like it just didn't have any cultural impact. I don't feel from what I know of it that it did anything really noteworthy. The games library, like I said, I can't speak to because I only know the one game.
Yeah.
And personal experience is almost non-existent. So that's a very flexible D tier, though.
So I say we agree to put it in C.
Well, what about you, BLJ?
I have no history. With
Didn't you say you had a Saturn?
No.
He said he was
Yeah,
opting
I
out.
only-
He
I
said
only
this is
had a,
between you and
Sega
me.
Genesis.
Oh.
I never had a Saturn before.
That's why I say it's a C.
Yep. You know what? I'll give you a B. I'll let you have it because I don't
Yeah.
know anything about it anyway.
I'll give it a B.
I took something from you
BLJ,
earlier. I'll let you have that one.
Yeah. What you picking, BLJ? What we talking about next? We making good time.
PS2.
PS2.
Interesting. I'm gonna wait till the end. I want to hear y'all thoughts on.
I mean,
the
that's
second.
straight to S tier for me.
Okay.
I
BLJ?
feel like the PS2 took what the PlayStation 1 did and did it everything better. You know, it had a built-in
I have
DVD
no rebuttal.
player. Just like the PlayStation 1 was the first console where you could play CDs. I think the PS2 was the first console you could play DVDs. The games library, as good as the PS1 games library was, the PS2 games library was that much better. It is the number one selling console in the world for a reason, unless it's been overtaken in the last couple of years. I haven't looked it up today, but last I was aware, it's the best selling console in the world of all time. And there's definitely a reason that it holds that title.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that's straight
BLJ,
to
what
S
you
tier
got?
for me.
Yeah.
It's S tier for me as well. Mainly because of the library. One of my favorite characters to this day comes from this system, and that is Kratos, God of War. Back when T.C. Carlson voice acting him, everything about that character really got me super hyped up. This fool was ripping legs off and yelling and just ripping hearts out. I was like, how can you not love this guy? But not only that, just mainly the library, man. It was a really good game, really good system. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out on there, very popular game.
Yep.
I think this is more you guys' lane, but wasn't there a really popular Final Fantasy? The cover, the dude looked like he's standing in the water or something like that. Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, that's
10?
10.
10, yeah.
Yep.
So overall, man, it's a lot of games. I can't think of them right now. I wish I could just name them off, but the library is very godlike to me. So that's an easy SPP.
Well, you're actually bringing up a very good point, BLJ. It didn't matter what genre of games you played. The PS2 had at least 5 games for you in that genre.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's my go already? Man, I just feel like I'm finna capsize the boat because I'm gonna have to put this mug in D. You know what I'm saying?
You playing.
For decidedly spectacular. That don't even make no sense, but nah, that mug is S.
Oh, spectacular for S. I got it.
Yeah. I said D. I was gonna say, it's spectacular, man. Downright spectacular. That's what I was gonna say. Not decidedly spectacular, but downright spectacular.
Hey, both work.
Yeah. I had put up some footage in one of our earlier episodes in the PS2's start off days, eve of extinction. And I told y'all about that warm memory where I didn't have a memory card and I leave my PS2 on for like 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
The fact that mug was waiting for me when I got home. Are we going to continue our journey today? That mug didn't overheat and blow up. Oh yeah. And I'm not going to repeat what y'all said, just the library, man. One thing y'all said was Final Fantasy X with Tidus. They released 10-2. The Mortal Kombat 3D era was on there. While not the most popular, very, very fond memories. A lot of my favorite Dynasty Warriors games were on PS2. And to this day, they're still amazing. One honorable mention that propels this system in S tier. Oh yeah, for sure. Soul Calibur 2, Soul Calibur 3. But there was this game, and I think I was talking to y'all about it. Urban Reign. They had this little contraption where you could give it the multi-tap and you could play 4 players. Man, that mug was fun. So yeah, man. S tier, we can move on to the next system, man.
We're gonna put it above the PS1.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna pick something different. I don't want us to keep going S tier.
Oh yeah.
Let's go with the Xbox One.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna pick Nintendo 64.
I gotta keep you on your toes, man.
No.
You think I'm just gonna run up and jab, and here I go run up and throw you again for the second or third time in a row.
I'm gonna give a little bit of feedback on Xbox One. Xbox One was that. I feel like they're trying to make a comeback now with their newest system, but this was that grayish area where their game library was not strong. And it switched places where this is the system getting pummeled in the corner of the ring. People used to make fun of Xbox One saying it was a $500 paperweight. And that's how I felt. Like the only game, and I'm not going to bash it because I didn't invest in Xbox like that. The only games I played on Xbox One was Final Fantasy 15, and it was the demo. And it looked good. But a friend of mine, that same friend that I told y'all brought the bait over here so I could play, he left his Xbox One with us so we could compete in ESL Mortal Kombat X. And that's all I really know of Xbox One. I'm not bashing it, but it didn't have any games in the library that made me say, you know what, I'm about to drop $500 on this system. It just didn't draw me in. They could not convince me, hey, buy our system and support our brand. So I will give it a B because of lack of knowledge and the library wasn't strong. I'm not going to tank it, but I'll set it at a B.
I am going to go along the line. I don't know much about it. I didn't invest in it. I didn't look at any gaming news on it, so I really don't know much about it.
Yeah.
So Lambo,
So just like with the 360, I bought it for one game, and that's Killer Instinct.
Yeah. Killer Instinct.
Oh, that was on the Xbox One?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Oh man. Hey, before you go,
But
you are a
Go ahead.
I don't even know how to describe it, man, because that was the only game that's came out in like the last like 10 years that I couldn't get because I didn't have the system. But like sometimes I kind of wish I bought the system just so I can play that game. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I really like the new
Yeah.
Killer. Well, not new now, but the latest Killer Instinct. So
10 years old now.
So kudos to you for buying the system for that game. Like that's the only Xbox One game that I really feel like I missed out on not playing because it was an Xbox exclusive, and I was kind of sad about that because I love KI. But continue.
Yep. Well, that's all I was gonna say is like I bought it for that game. It's still the same old shitty Xbox controller with the shitty D-pad.
Yeah.
The exclusives were not great outside. Like Killer Instinct was really the only good one. You had what was it, Gears 4, which I'm indifferent towards. You had Halo, which just was not the same as when I was playing Halo. It just had nothing to it. Like it is an incredibly meh system, but it is better than the 360, so I will give it a B because it's solid, middle of the road.
Cool. B it is.
Like if you had an Xbox One, if that's what your parents could afford was an Xbox One and not a PlayStation 4, that's fine. If that's what your friends played was Xbox and not PlayStation, that system was going to do you well, but that's about it.
All right, man. I'm gonna make a request. Let's go to another, in my opinion, middle of the road
Another middle of the road
console.
All right.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and grab that one on the very right, man. The original
Really?
Xbox. Yes.
Interesting.
So, Fat Boy controller. That's what we used to dub it. No disrespect to the heavy boys out there. I didn't like that controller at all. It was awful.
Yeah.
But this console debuted one of my favorite games of all time, and that's why I'm gonna put it in the middle of the road. B, Jade Empire. Without this system, Jade Empire would not have exist. It's still an Xbox exclusive, but you can get it on Steam now. But I'm waiting for them to remaster it, give me part 2, but they too busy infatuated with Mass Effect. But Xbox was also the godfather of Halo when people were just crazy about it. Halo 2. I know Halo 1 was good, but Halo 2 just took off like wildfire. You was like, there'll never be a better shooting game ever because Halo was just, everybody played it, you know. I believe it still had its problems. It wasn't really Ring of Death, but what was that yellow reddish ring where it would mess up too? They
I
had
think it was a yellow light or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was nowhere near as common as the red ring was.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you could put your music in the menu and listen to your music and stuff. My inexperience with the console and it still didn't have a strong library to me. That's why I want to give it a B in the middle of the road. I can't really just find anything like, but it just didn't do it for me. But I do owe the system my Jade Empire, which is like one of the greatest games I ever played. So solid B for me in that regard.
When you started talking, there was a lot of fireworks going on. I don't know if you guys heard that. But what system did you say?
We did not.
Nope. The original Xbox.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as you said the system, somebody was shooting fireworks out here for like 20 seconds straight.
Oh, man.
So I didn't hear nothing you said.
There's a party somewhere.
Okay, we on the Xbox though.
Somebody's having a Christmas party, I guess.
I guess, man, it was fireworks going on for a minute.
Yep. See, I would put the original Xbox in an A tier.
Okay.
I feel like it did bring a couple of revolutionary features, mainly the online play, because it was the first system that had it built in. Like the PS2, you could play online as well, but you needed the network adapter. And I don't think you needed any kind of adapter with the original Xbox. But even then, it was a subscription service. So, like we were talking about earlier, the network code and servers were actually run pretty smoothly. And that's what everybody did. We played, Halo 2 online, or even better. And, a lot of people probably don't remember, a lot of new folks, younger folks, don't know about LAN parties. Taking the Xbox to a friend's house and hooking up, 2 Xboxes and playing 8-player Halo
and
in one
that mug
house.
was so crisp. That mug was super crisp, boy. Yeah, for sure.
So, like, for those features alone, and then my personal experience with the original Xbox of going to LAN parties at friends' houses, and the one game that everyone seemed to hate, but I actually thought was pretty decent, was Too Human. Like, I haven't seen another game come out that really kind of scratched that same itch, so I'm willing to put it in an A tier.
Okay. We got an A, we got a B. BLJ, what you got?
Me,
Mr. Tiebreaker.
I would say, if I remember correctly, wasn't the the popular Halo version on Xbox? Was it Halo 2?
Yeah, the fireworks drowned that out, but I definitely covered that. But yeah, you're right.
Oh, my bad.
Nah, you good, bro.
Yeah, no. I just remember that being a huge thing back in the day. So I really don't have much on it. But if I go off of how big I knew that was, I'm not even a shooting game guy, even dating way back to then. And I was playing that hoe a lot. I'll put it in. You said you put it in B.
That's how you
put it in A.
Yeah.
Man.
Man, you
See,
do
I'm going to say it goes in A if it got you to play shooting games.
I'll put it in A.
I guess it's a solid A. Put it in A.
All right.
Dumb,
now to your
down to the
personal,
wire, Mike.
your personal favorite, the Nintendo 64.
Oh, yeah. Who going first on the 64?
Man, let me go.
I think BLJ started it off with that controller design.
Go for it. Yeah. What you got, BLJ?
So, I will say the N64, for me personally, has some of my more fun moments in gaming, like in my gaming career or my gaming history. Mainly dating back to the old wrestling games. To this day, some people consider the N64 wrestling games the best wrestling games ever made. Like even over the
Mercy.
even over the 2K20s.
That was the one we all played.
That. Yeah, WCW, NWO Revenge, No Mercy.
Yep.
There's a couple other too, but they were made by the Aki engine, so those wrestling games would play way differently than any other wrestling games at the time. And fun fact, there's a new AEW wrestling game coming out next year, I think.
For the Nintendo 64?
No. But it's made by the Aki engine too, the same engine that was used to make those games on the 64. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I would say there's a lot of culturally moving games on that system, If I had to say, like Mario 64, all the wrestling games. One of the games that really stuck out to me, I remember MK Trilogy on the N64. That was a fun one for me. But if I had to rank it though, I'll probably put it in a smooth S tier. And then on top of that, I like that they had the wide variety of color schemes for the controllers. I thought that was pretty dope back in the day.
Yeah, that was nice.
But that's my vote. That's my vote.
What about you, Toro?
Cool. Ah, shit, I'm next. What's up? I think I told y'all before, I'm one of them dudes that stand outside of the box. I never was into the Mario platformers, but I won't use that as a reason to drag the system down. It's me, Mario. You know how many people was at the store when they had the little N64 behind the glass and everybody got to tug at Mario's nose and his ears, and people are just going crazy, man. Really, really strong first impression. Then you drop in bangers like I said, Mario 64 was a banger, even though I didn't play it. People loved it. Ocarina of Time, That's enough to lift this bad boy in an S tier on its own. Donkey Kong 64 was one of my favorites. It wasn't the most well received, but it had the Rumble Pack and the multiplayer and the DK Rap song. Majora's Mask came out. Wave Race 64. What else did we have on this bad boy?
Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye.
Yeah, the birth
Cruising
of
USA.
one of the greatest games ever made. Super Smash Brothers. God, dog. Man, I was going to put it in A, but the more and more I go down memory lane, Nintendo 64's library alone sit that mug right in the S tier. Like, you can't put it nowhere else.
Me and you are walking hand in hand on that one, because that's where I was. I was going to put it in A, but you kept listing off all these games, and I'm like, well, the games library does kind of like pull this one up to an S tier.
That controller, though, I agree with you. That controller, man, but that controller ain't enough to drag it out of S tier, man.
I never got used to the controller. But yeah, I think y'all are right. I think it's definitely an S tier.
Oh man, they're not gonna like the rest of this tier list from me.
Well,
I already know.
Let's go with the PS4.
You don't want my biased opinion on that mug, because that mug is going right to the top. The I say
PS4 is a solid A.
No, it might be a solid A to you. The PS4 is going to be a solid S to me, because that mug just, man, I'm not going to sit here and say it was dark times in my life, but I just got too many good memories of PlayStation 4, online PlayStation Network, all these different games that I took a hand in. That's when I first started playing Fork Knife, PS4. What harm could it do? Just try it, and here I am building stuff, yelling at the screen. But those
now look at your wallet.
Yeah, great memories, man. PS4, it had bangers like Ghost of Tsushima. Ooh, boy, mug made me nauseous just talking about it. Grandma Butterfly beat the pants off me, but Sekiro, my Dynasty Warriors games transitioned on there, all kind of fighters, Blaze Blue, Cross Tag Battle. What were we just talking about? Tekken 7. Do you know how gorgeous Tekken 7 look on PS4?
Yeah, even if it takes 30 minutes to load a fight.
Man, I don't know about all that. Well, I was rocking the Pro. That mug, it didn't take forever on me. But it definitely wasn't the fastest, but it wasn't forever. But yeah, man, even DNF Duel, even we was talking about that, just games that made a huge impact on me. What about Lara Croft? Lara Croft came out on the 3, right?
Yeah,
she debuted PS3, right?
Them rebooting the series was on PS4. Was just called Tomb Raider.
So it was PS4. That's what I meant. Yeah, those games, they look fantastic.
I'm pretty sure it was PS4. Now I'm second guessing myself.
I feel like Sony was just killing the game, man.
I'm gonna go answer hunting while you do that.
Oh, okay. I'm closing it out, man. I'm somewhat of a Sony fanboy. I love Sony's systems. I'm not trying to jinx myself. I feel like their home systems, they haven't let me down yet. They just continuously blow me away with all the features. When I got my PS5 and I figured out what it could do, I'm just like, wow. So PS4 to me is an easy S tier,
So Tomb Raider.
We're not just, what's up?
Tomb Raider was one of those games that came out the same year that the PS4 released, so it was on both PS3 and PS4.
Okay. But majority everybody booted that mug up on PS4. It wasn't a port. It debuted on both of them, right?
It came out March 5th, 2013, which would have been like 3 months after the PS4's release date.
Oh,
it came out in 2012,
it
right?
debuted on PS4. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it did.
Or was it 20? Oh, now I got to look.
But yeah, that's
November
my
2013. So it originally was on PS3 and then ported to PS4 when that released.
Oh yeah, it's all good. That mug look sexy on PS4 though. What you got, BLJ? Where would you put your PlayStation?
We know where BLJ's going.
Man, big double S tier. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've just had a lot of great moments with my baby over there. You know what I'm saying? Um, when it comes to God of War
Still having them too,
2018,
right?
yep. I just finished God of War Ragnarok. So God of War 2018, Ragnarok. You got Horizon Zero Dawn. What's another one that came out?
The Last of Us.
Oh, The Last of Us. Man, come on, man. Like these are games. Even the Uncharted series, these are games that they may be divisive in their own ways, like between the fan base and stuff. But they only have a
Yeah.
lot of discussion about them because they're that great of a game. If a game came out with a crappy story that nobody liked, nobody would even talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So even a game like The Last of Us, people's like torn because the main character, well, I don't want spoilers, the main character dies or whatever early in the game. If it was a crappy game or a crappy character, nobody would even care. But the fact that they made these godlike games and can have these type of controversies just lets you know like how well these games are put together. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've had a lot of great moments, man. But it's definitely an S tier, man. It's just good. I like the controller. I like how it feels in my hand. Oh, let me. Well, speaking of the controller, because I've had this issue recently a couple of times, and I dislike it very much. Even though the controller feels really good in my hands when I play it and how it feels when I hold it, I feel like the controllers are like cheaply made. I'm not a fan.
Whoa. So let me jump in on that. Let me provide the assist. Now, as starstruck and biased as I am, and I hope somebody from Sony is listening to me say this, I picked up on y'all's little scheme. In the beginning, the controllers were not like that. When you bought a PS4, that factory made controller that came with the game wasn't like that. But these newer controllers, even the ones that they selling us for $60 now, they are not made with the same parts. And I already know what you about to go at.
Inflation.
When you playing games like Street Fighter V, the D-pad, it's not really the buttons, it's the D-pad, right?
Let
D-pad,
it wears out. Let me briefly explain it to you. So I don't know if you remember, like a couple months ago, we were playing fighting games, and I was like, man, my D-pad is acting up. Like I hold back to block, but he might like kind of crouch block. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you might do a jump in on me and hit me, and I'm like, I blocked that, but the controller like it registers me holding down back instead of back. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes I have to press the button really hard, like left or right or up or down to make it come out. You know what I'm saying? So this was some months ago. And I remember I was telling y'all about this.
That's just because you need to get on a stick.
Oh man.
No, so I was telling you about this, Toro, and you remember I told you I was going to buy a new controller and I couldn't find one anywhere. You remember that? So I was looking for like 2 or 3 weeks for a controller on Amazon. I was going to Walmart. I was going to GameStop, and I could never find one. Then I finally got one on Amazon online or whatever, right? So this was like 5 months ago, maybe. So that controller that I got that long ago is now having those issues now. That's the newest one I got. So when we like recently we was playing Grand Blue Fantasy, and like for the most part, like the controller works. Like you playing me, like it's not like you can tell like my stuff is messing up, but it'd be certain key moments like I input a move and it just won't come out because I think it's on that controller I'm referring to. If I gotta press like the right side really hard to make a move come out. And I shouldn't be having that problem with a controller I just bought 4 or 5 months ago. You know what I mean?
Just get on stick.
Nah, no stick for me, man. Skip that.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my
It'll
only
solve your problem.
That's my only gripe with the PS4, man. The controllers just kind of booty, man.
Where you put this? Okay.
Yep. And my actual ranking is an A tier because I feel like the system itself doesn't have the features like the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 did to really like elevate it to an S tier. But you guys outvoted me on this one, so it's an S tier.
I was going to say, you can watch YouTube, Netflix at the PlayStation Store. You showed me Game Share on PS4. I will defend that mug. I will stand in front of that
specifically.
Mug. Remember Fox and the Hound? Yeah, you remember Fox and the Hound when the hunter was finna blast Todd ass and Copper jumped in front of him? That's how I am with the PS4. I got to defend that mug. That mug was A1. But what you got for us next,
it's just
man?
Specifically the lack of backwards compatibility. I think that's what really drags it down for me.
Spoiled. Just spoiled. But what you got for us, man?
PS3, where are we going?
Oh, man, I don't even want to say S tier, but come on now. Let's be real. I'm going to sound super biased. I'm going to get it out the way now. Sony did not miss when they brought out each console. Each console that came out, 5 included, each console that comes out just brings me more and more joy. I'm not brainwashed. I'm not a cultist. They didn't slip nothing in my drink. It's just experience. I met BLJ via the PS3. And like I was telling you, that system just has a lot of memorable titles, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think I still have my original model PS3 to this day. And I got it in 2009 and it still works like it's brand new. The internal clock battery still works. And I'm like, wow, like it still works. That's crazy to me. But I'm placing PS3 at the top. That's just me. If y'all got some rebuttals, have at it. But that's my personal vote. I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
What about you, BLJ?
I think I went over this in the last episode, maybe I think with the question of the week. But for me, the PS3, I would say it was a game changer for me, life changer for me. You know, I want to say one of the more key moments is like what Toro mentioned. We met each other playing PS3 online. You know what I'm saying? And that friendship has blossomed from 2009 up until now. So what's that? 13 years, 12, 13 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Not only that, we all fighting game guys here, but you know, me playing online, wanting to get better at Street Fighter, made me look up videos on how to get better and combos and stuff like that. Then I found out about Evo, and I went to my first Evo in 2010, and from then till now, I'd have been to like 4 or 5 of them or whatever. But all that sparked from playing the PS3 and playing online and wanting to get better. And not only Toro, but there's other people that I met online in that same time frame, you know. And I know we're talking about like the actual like system itself, like the features and stuff like that. But if I just had to go off of the good times I've had on it and like some of the more life-changing experiences I've had, like they do come from the PS3. You know what I mean? And that's not even talking about like the library and stuff. I'm just talking about like me being in college and when I should be doing homework, I'm playing Street Fighter for like 7 hours online and shit. You know what I'm saying?
We've all had that experience.
Yeah, man.
I was just going to say, I'm guilty too.
Yeah, man. So,
should have been doing homework and I'm sitting there playing Killzone.
Yep. So that was definitely me back then. So without a doubt, it's an S tier for me. Like that's I got a lot of good memories with the PS3 for sure.
Well, I'm similar story as last time. I was going to put it as a high A because it did launch originally with the backwards compatibility that I love so much, but then they got rid of it. And I understand why they got rid of it. It was a mechanical issue with PS2 games, but I mean, they still kept if I remember correctly, the PS1 backwards compatibility, right? Or did they get rid of it all completely?
Mine, even though I have the original one, mine came out later with I think I had 500 gigs, half a terabyte.
Yeah.
The most premium version of the original one, and it didn't have PS1 compatibility, but I didn't let that stop me. Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Yeah, but then you could play PSP and I think PS Vita games directly on your PlayStation 3 as well. You could just download them to the PS3 and play them. So that was a really cool feature.
Yes, you could do that.
So that's why I would give it a high A tier. But again, I've been outvoted in this democracy. So it is going straight to the S tier.
Oh yeah.
And we don't even have to
And
argue
that
with this
leaves
one. We
us
all
with-
know this one's straight to the
Yeah,
S tier too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like this tier list is over.
Yep.
I'm not gonna stay on it that long, man. I'm just gonna say Super Mario World. Super Mario World was such a colossal game; it could carry the Super Nintendo on its own.
Oh yeah.
That game brought happiness to plenty of people, brought plenty of families together, and the amount of secrets that was crammed into that game, easy
Mhm.
S tier, my dudes.
Yep. Super Mario World is my favorite Mario game of all time. And like you said, that's all you needed. Super Mario World.
Is it my
To the point that I can't even think of any other games at the moment.
Whoa, I wouldn't go that far. You got Chrono Trigger. Was it Secret of Mana?
Yeah, I never played
What
them.
else we got on there? NBA Jams. Oh, you didn't?
Primal
some of the
Rage.
Final
That was
Fantasies
on
are on
Super
there.
Nintendo. I
Oh, yeah.
played Primal Rage all the
and
time.
Sega too. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then the sweaty version of Mortal Kombat.
Is it my go?
What about you, BLJ? What you think about the Super
Yeah.
Nintendo?
You the last one. Slam dunk. Take us
Check
home,
this
man.
out.
We done.
I didn't think about this until I just like saw them and we talked about Super Nintendo. But I don't know if you guys kind of noticed, but over some of these consoles, I've mentioned the controllers, whether I like them or dislike them, right? So
Mhm.
Yes.
I want to say my favorite controller color scheme is actually the Super Nintendo. If you guys remember, the controller is gray. It has like purple. Well, they had two different ones. They had one with like light purple buttons and then dark purple buttons. And then they had a controller with the green, blue, and red and yellow buttons
Yep.
on the like
Yep.
configuration side or whatever.
I'm used to the original one, light purple
check
and dark
this out.
purple. But
Check
yeah,
this
go ahead.
out. I love the controller scheme so much. Let me show y'all now. I actually went out and bought the shells for the PS4 controllers like that.
Ooh.
Superstation.
You know what I'm saying? So look, so I got
That's
this one.
nice.
So I got this one right, and then look, watch this. Bam, boom.
That's
pretty
very
sweet.
nice.
So check this out. I actually,
Hey, do us a favor. Yeah, put the other one in the camera where the other one is. Like, we can't see the buttons. No, not that one. We seen that one. The other one, put it with your other hand so they can see the buttons. There you go. Yeah, now you showcase the whole controller. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
so I actually had to buy the shell, and then I had to take apart my whatever controller I had, and then I had to put the buttons in there myself. So I actually like was all in here, figuring it out and stuff like that. But
that dedicated,
yeah, man,
huh?
I love
That's
the
dedication.
Super NES controllers. Like I always thought they just looked so cool. I'm a big fan of gray, but the gray and the purple, like I just always thought it was so sexy, man. So I was like, man, let me get this.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
And it was very comfortable too.
yeah. So, anyways, that the system for me would be S tier. I have a lot of memories with that one too. For some reason, when I think of Super Nintendo, the Street Fighter box art, the Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 box art sticks out to me. The one with Blanca and
With
Chun-Li.
Blanca
I think that
flying
was-
through the air.
Yeah, I think it was used on
Mhm.
different consoles too, but for some reason, like I just remember how the Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2 artwork looked on, the SNES.
Yep. That's
Who is
because
he?
the
He's
Super
hitting
Nintendo
somebody with
boxes
the rolling
were
ball.
like
I don't know if
wide
it's-
rectangles.
Like Chun-Li's doing a lightning leg,
Nah.
and then he's rolling.
We thinking of the different box art. The one I'm looking at is Chun-Li is on the side. He's doing the rolling ball, and he actually hit somebody.
Oh, I
with
thought
it.
he was
I
trying
can't
to hit
remember
her.
if it's a guy. Oh no, you might be right, but I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up very quick.
Yeah, because I know the
Well,
art
that,
shit
and you
up
just
with
reminded me too. Clay
What up?
Fighters was on Super Nintendo as well.
that.
I wasn't a big fan of Clay
I
Fighter.
saw
though.
Clay Fighters. I never played that though.
Oh man, I played it all the time.
Okay, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it. He
Super
is aiming
Metroid.
towards Chun-Li, but he rocked Ryu.
Oh, okay. Reusing that cover? I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah. He rocked Ryu. Ryu got hit, and he's aiming towards Chun-Li. Street Fighter 2.
Let me see. Street Fighter 2 Dark.
But yeah,
So
it's
you
a
went ahead and
solid
put it in
system all
S,
around.
huh?
It's definitely an S tier.
Yeah. Well, shoot.
Oh, you're right.
That about do it.
Yeah, he goes over
Yeah.
Ryu.
A very lonely D tier down here.
Yeah. You had a plan, but I had to intervene. But I was gonna say, this was a very interesting episode. You know, we not the tier list guys, but I like the way it turned out. Also, you know, again, 6 months in this biatch, you know, I think it was something cool to do something a little different for the 6 month mark, you know.
Yep.
Spinning around in the blender for 6 months, started this journey in June, you know.
Yeah.
So, and we sitting there doing a tier list, our first official tier list. It was very, very unique and unscripted. We went to
I'm
there,
surprised
okay,
we had this many
I have these
S's.
notes. Oh man, but who would argue with us? Like, who could tear those systems down? They untouchable.
Oh, there's gonna be somebody. Somebody in the comments
That's
will
fine.
argue with you.
That's fine. It is what it is. It's TYFP tier list, you know.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna go ahead and make my closing marks. If y'all got more to say, you know, feel free. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw the trademark. It's been an honor discussing these systems. I hope y'all had fun listening to our opinions and our digging back into our memories of what makes all these systems special or not so special. And I want to thank you guys for playing video games, and I want to thank y'all for playing this podcast. And I'm going to toss it to my wonderful co-host and let y'all hear what they have to say. Until next time. And I do have a special announcement when they get done. Matter of fact, I'll say it now before we forget. We will be taking us an extended holiday, you know, for the holidays. We'll be gone a couple of weeks. We'll keep y'all posted when we return. We'll put something in the community tab or something like that. But I figured we'd tell y'all that. But yeah, y'all go ahead and get after it. I'm going to leave it to y'all.
I
Two
am going to
things.
say, go, Lambo. It's on you, Lambo.
We always
I
clash.
know, right?
Yep. I tried to wait to give him a second to see if he's going to say something. And he doesn't. And then as soon as I start talking. But yeah, two things. Since we're going to be taking this break, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, comment. Let us know what you guys think of the tier list. What would you change about our tier list? What would you move around? What would you put in D tier? It's looking kind of lonely over there. Second, when you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to notify so that when we do come back, YouTube lets you know about it for sure. And at the same
y'all do
time,
that.
everybody stay safe. Have wonderful holidays with your family, friends, whoever you hang out with. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast. I have an idea. I'm gonna run it by you guys right now, and it'll probably be in the future. But it really excites me though. So you know, I showed you guys my controllers, right? You know what I'm saying? Got this
Yes.
one. Got this one. Check this out. Check this out. Look at the top. Look at the top. You see the top?
Yes.
You see the buttons on there? Look, this one right here. Look, this one got my name on there. Look, BLJ34.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know why, but controllers really excite me. Maybe sometime down the line we can like do a tier list over just the designs of controllers. I'd really like controllers. As you can see, if I invested money in these, you know what I mean? But anyways, everybody have a good holidays. You know what I'm saying? If there's any other tier lists in the future you'd like to see us go over, just drop it down in the old comment section. And until next time, thank you for playing video games and thank you for playing this podcast. And one last question for you guys. One more thing. In the beginning, when you brought up Ash and Pikachu leaving,
Yeah.
just a brief, what do you think they're going to go with it? How do you think that's going to work? Do you think people will go for the new character, or do you think they'll be like, bring Ash back?
Lambo, you want to go first, or you want me to give my brief answer? I already know how it's going to go.
I'll give
actually
you
a
my
brilliant
30
move.
second pitch.
Yeah.
I think it's about time. You can't have Ash stick around forever and keep saying he's on a journey to be a Pokemon master and he never makes any progress. So I think it's great that they finally let him win a tournament in Alola, and then they finally gave him the world championship in Galar. It was 20 years coming. He's been a great star of the show and a great mascot for a lot of kids for a long time. But eventually things have to change, and it's time to move forward and move on with the new characters and see what they can do with them and the story they've got to tell.
For sure.
Toro?
All right, man. I'm going to try to make it short and sweet. I think it's a brilliant business move. You know, he's like, well, what if people are like, we want Ash back? It's not up to them. They had 25 years with this character. They're preparing for the new generation that will spend 20 years growing with the next character. Call me wrong. I feel like it's going to be, they're going to give a young lady time to shine. I know, like, what was one of them? Pokemon Crystal's a female protagonist, but I feel like she wasn't pushed as hard as Ash was.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe a young lady will be able to shine and people will be able to grow and relate to this young lady. And call me crazy, I feel like even though Ash has moved on, I feel like we haven't seen the last of him. He might be grown up or something later on. And new protagonists, not saying it'll happen in the next year, the second year, maybe 5, 6, 7 years down the line, but they might reanimate Ash when he's older and he either teams up with the protagonist or they have a friendly battle to see who's stronger.
Yeah.
So I don't believe we've seen the last of Ash Ketchum, but this is a brilliant move on their part. And I feel like whether the OGs, what's up?
You were talking about the new character. I think I saw something scrolling through Facebook the other day that said there was just like a picture of the new protagonist. And if I understood correctly, they're going to have 2 protagonists, one male, one female. So I don't know if they're going to be adventuring together like Ash, Misty, and Brock did back in the day, or what the plan is. But I did see both a male and female protagonist.
Yeah. What I read though was they not revealing until like 2024, but I don't know. I don't
maybe
keep
it's a fan made up or something.
That's my 2 cents on it though. But I wish them luck. You know, they got so much guap, it don't matter. But hopefully it don't tank. I hung up my Pokemon badges long ago. You know, the original 151. What's up? But shoot, more power to them.
Cool.
But that it? We parking the bus?
I was just interested to see how y'all thought about it. I feel like you, Toro. Like I hung up my Pokemon stuff years ago, you know, so I'm not really that invested into it, but I will say like the original Pokemon, like I know all about them. So anything after like 2000 up until now, like I don't know about. So I'm really not that invested in it, but hopefully the new person that they make, you know, it works out well. So I'm interested to see.
Cool.
So, but that's it though.
All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, man, I'm about to start this holiday, man. It's over for me. So, like we said, I'm going to take the stunners off. I've been cool enough. Y'all take care of yourself, okay? We about to dip out this biatch. Had a ton of fun. We'll catch y'all probably next year. I'm voting we come back next year, but we'll see. Y'all be careful now. Take it easy.
All right, y'all. Let's go play some Legends Arceus.
I don't know what that is, but let's do
it. Maybe it's a new beginning. Maybe it's the start of where it ends. I know. It comes down to all or nothing. This time it's for real, we can't pretend. You know, they're closing in, and I don't wanna miss a shot. Adrenaline, so give it everything that you got. Don't stop.